Hey, it's Mikey from Rockin' K. If you don't know who we are two people trying to do the off-gridding DIY homesteading thing. What makes this special? We're doing it in Germany. So, it is the start of a week. We're going to hit full bore. We're going to tackle as much as we can. And it's going to be a busy week. So, let's get to it. All right, so you guys know, here it is, happy Monday, and we're going to get started. So I'm going to put myself in a time crunch. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to light a fire in here, and I have to get these pumps back there, all these pump controls wired before it gets too hot. I know I can do it, but we're going to need heat. And I need to get to all of this mess. So it takes an hour or so for the oven to get, or I should say the puffer, the big storage tank behind me, to get really hot. So I got an hour or two before the pumps really have to run. So the oven itself and the circulation pump between the oven and the big storage tank, that is wired to a different area. It's actually wired through this control head here. So we're not taking the stove offline, so it'll circulate into the storage tank and we don't have to worry about it being too big of a time crunch, but it is a time crunch nonetheless. I've been putting this off because we've needed the heat. So it's kind of nice today, but it's not real warm. So we do still need heat, but what I'm going to do is start heating up the tank and then get the pumps up and running. So I really don't, I got to do it this way. It's probably the only way I'm going to get it done because we've been running the heat nonstop for, I don't know, like a month or so. So I've been making a fire every day. So I have to make a fire today, but I can get the pumps wired beforehand. I know it's a lot of rambling, but yep, you know me. I'm a bad starter, but once I get going, so let's get going. All right, so we have these conduits up here. After looking at everything, this used to power that old pump that was on the circulation lines that I removed. So this actually isn't needed. So we're going to empty this one. This long one, I'm going to have to cut here. And then we're going to fish all of those wires around and through it. You can see it goes the distance. And that'll get everything cleaned up. So when we come back, hopefully it's all done. Okay, the fire started. So time started. Something interesting to show you. That is about a week's worth of ash. So that's what's left after burning firewood for about a week. As you can see, it's not that much. But I thought I would show you that because I always find it amazing that you put all this wood in there and it turns into like almost nothing. So let's start wiring. Hey, it's about, almost 8 o'clock at night. You can see back there, the windows, it's dark. But we made progress. I didn't get as far as I wanted to. I always set my goals a little bit too high. I'm learning to set reasonable goals. Not really, but anyway. So what we do have is the permanent wiring does make it from here all the way around. So you can see now there's 4 conduits. The 2 that go over to the heating wall are in brackets, all nice and neat. And then here is the permanent wiring. So what I've done is I jumped the permanent wiring, again really quick, temporarily. And while it's not ideal, what I ended up having happen is I didn't have a big enough junction box. because in total, there is 16 individual wires for this, for that run of wires, because it is 8 wires for one and 8 wires for the other. So the wires come off the mixers in 2 groups of 3 and a pair of 2. That's what you can see here, right there. So there's 2 groups of 3 and a pair. And what it is that's a lot of wire to put in conduit. So what I had to do was I ran 2 5 wires and then 2 2 wires. But you say, wait, that's only 14. The pump and the control share a neutral, which is not a problem. Total draw on each leg is around 20 watts. And I'm running wire that's capable of 16 amps. So I'm sending a total of 20 watts on the neutral, and then, of course, on the shared neutral, and then 11 watts on one and 9 on the other. So, I mean, we're way overwired anyway. But this one is a draw. I need to go to my version of Globus, or my version of, I should say, Home Depot, Lowe's, which is Globus, and get a junction box that will be big enough for these wires to come in. I need to do all the terminations inside the box. So I'm going to get a box like this one down here that is on the large side, like that, instead of this tiny one here. I put it up there and realized that's not going to work. So what I did was I conceded and said, all right, we're not going to get it all today, and went into the mode of getting everything strung so that I don't have to mess with the end that's behind that wall anymore. Everything comes over and makes it to this wall. Makes my life easier tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to be able to leave one of the pumps running, because what happened was when my floor heating started, it went an overtemp alarm, because what happens is if the floor heating hits 45 degrees Celsius, it will stop the pump and send the alarm. Well, part of the startup cycle for the pumps when I turn them on is they open the valves, they open and close the valves, and then they start the pumps. Well, it tried to cycle the water through at 55 degrees Celsius. So the minute it hit 45 degrees Celsius, the pump stopped, and I got stuck here waiting for the water that's sitting in the line to come down 10 degrees before the pump would start. And once it restarted, everything was fine. It automatically restarted. It's just, lesson learned. Basically, leave the floor heating turned on tomorrow and just mess with the radiator pump. So, with that said, I'm going to call this one a night. I'm going to call this one a draw, almost a win, and we'll come back tomorrow and do some more. Hey, we're back, and it's Tuesday, so you can see behind me there's some daylight. Got the box that I need. And so we'll get going on getting the rest of this cleaned up and looking proper. So nothing to do but to do it. So we'll come back and I'll tell you what went down. So I think that's much better and much cleaner. So we have the conduit coming up, and we have them come through the other conduit. That's all the ones from this one. Then you have the ones coming up from this mixer, and then they all drop into that box so that we can go ahead and do all the terminations in there. And I think that box is going to be just about right. So it's a whole bunch of stripping and joining and all that. So away we go. All right, the first one's permanently wired. I got to duck in here behind the chimney. We'll flip you around. So much nicer, much neater. So we have the others to do. This is coming in. So it didn't take too long. We're near 6 o'clock now, and the first one's permanently wired. I'm almost ready to fire up, but you can see we lost the daylight. The days are very short here. We are very far north. We're north probably around the Maine latitude, so the days are short, but the summers, man, the days are long. But anyway, let me get back to it. All right, so I think it's done. Started a fire because we're there. So we'll flip you around, and so now we have conduit. The wire comes up. Some of you may be questioning the fact that that it's open here, and here you're allowed to have it open. I know in the States you have to have solid conduit normally with exposed wires, with wires that aren't strung inside. But you are allowed to have these breaches in the gap, the gaps here. Then there is all the junctions. So while it seems like this took me forever, part of the problem is some of the wire is not solid copper. It is, stranded wire. And in order to use the style of connections, or honestly, if you should be doing any connections, there's little crimp furrows that you can put on there. And I'll show them to you after I fire the system up. But folks, I recommend always use crimp ferrules on stranded wire, especially if you plan on using Wagos or Vagos, because they have a pinch point that makes the contacts, and what ends up happening is the wires will flatten out, and the connection isn't always that great, and you run a chance of having that wire heat up because it's actually arcing instead of having a good solid contact. So the moment of truth is here. Right here is the main switch. The main switch turns on all the controls. The only thing that's not on the main switch is the actual wood stove itself. So let's flip the switch and see what happens. The system's up, and if you remember earlier, if you see that it says AS on those, and what it's doing is it's actually running through and operating all the mixers full cycle and spinning the pumps up. That's the problem I had yesterday, because it opened the mixers, fired up the pumps, and then it pulled hot water into my my floor heating, and my floor heating is supposed to go 45 degrees, and that's it. So once it hit 46, it alarmed and stopped. So I got stuck out here waiting for it to cool down. And of course, I insulated the pipes. You saw me do that, and it took longer. But it looks like we are in business. All my temperatures are here, and my temperatures are on here. I'll flip you around. So on here, You can see 14 degrees is the temperature of the pipes going into this one would be into the house, into the radiators. And then on this one, it does say 16. That's because that one gets heat a little bit longer than the other one, because the way I have it programmed, it turns off my radiators at 47 degrees and it turns off my floor heating at 40, I think. So because they run at two different temperatures, so my floor heating has to run at about 55 to 60, and my floor heating has to run about 30-ish. So I can let the floor heating run a little bit longer without worry. And so it looks like this project is done. It looks 1,000 times better than when I started, and everything is correct. I'm going to put the cover on right there here in a second. We'll get it all buttoned up, but all the wires are in conduit. Everything's where it belongs. You do see this one wire that goes up over the top. That's actually just the low voltage wire tank sensor. That wire, I'm going to have to make an independent conduit that goes up and over to the wall. It'll take a moment. Everything's ready to go. But so that's going to about wrap this day up. Everything is all buttoned up. Everything is all purty. Looks all nice, neat, organized the way it should. Everything's closed up. Everything's powered up. The stove is warming up. It's at 72 degrees, 73 degrees Celsius on the exhaust. So today is a win. This has been a long time coming. I know I've been talking about it on many videos, but we got her done. And so now that this is done, I can move to the basement and get some of that stuff done. Like I was saying earlier, this took a long time because I had to do a lot of terminating and putting ferrules on stranded wire. So tomorrow, before I start, what I will do is I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to the stranded wire and these wire connectors that I use that are known as Wagos or Vago here in Germany, because W is a V. Go figure. But that wraps it up. 'Tis dark outside, a little after 7. I'm tired. I've been going for 12 hours now. A little more, actually more than 12 hours, but it is what it is. We got things to do and stuff to get done. But we'll catch up with you tomorrow afternoon. All right, remember I was telling you I was going to show you those crimps and connectors. So let's do it. All right, so when you have stranded copper wire, the problem you run into is, first off, the strands, they can go rogue and they can end up not with the rest of the connector. The other problem you have is if you're using something like a Vago connector or a Wago connector, when you put it in there and it crimps, you run the chance of it not grabbing the wire correctly, and then if you look, you can see where it flattens the wire. So what is the preferred method, and it's not just the Mikey preferred method, is that you use connectors. Specifically, the crimp connectors. And what I'm talking about is this kit. Now you can buy them from many different manufacturers, many different places. I just happen to have bought this one off of Amazon, and it comes with all the different connectors. And they look like this, right? So what you end up doing is you take the correct size connector, right? And you place the wire inside, make sure that it's the correct size. You'll feel it as you're putting it in there. If it's all floppy and loose, it's too big, move a size down. Right? All you do is slide them on there. Now see that rogue wire? So we'll straighten that out. It's funny that happened because those rogue wires can cause a lot of problems, arcing and such. And these stop that from happening. So I use these on speaker wire when I'm doing audio systems and such, because I don't want to run the chance of having a rogue wire and short my amplifier. So they're on there. They're not coming off. And now you put them in the Wago. Everything's good. They come out. No deformation. Everything is good. Makes a good solid contact, good solid connection. And personally, it was the only way that I'll connect these stranded wires. But I will put a link to this kit in the description on Amazon. And if you want, you can go out and get yourself that kit. Works great. I love this kit. I have done hundreds of connections with this. So I highly recommend it. Now, back to work. All right, so now we're in the basement. Yesterday was a wash. It was a little bit busy here, so we didn't get anything done yesterday. But because today is Thursday, Wednesday was kind of a wash. But we're down in the basement. As you can see, I moved in. Got the lights in. So now we're going to start marking everything up. Start getting everything ready. I am debating on whether I'm going to break out my sander, sand all the flaking paint off the wall, get it sealed, and then put the outlets up. I don't know. I mean, because you can see a little bit where you can see like the cinder block work. I'll debate that all. I mean, it's only going to be a single conduit. We can paint right around it. But it's going to be a fun day. So I will have to mark everything up. And I'll start marking from here. We'll get nice level lines going around to all the outlets. And we'll mark up there as well for where the lights are going to go. Then we'll break out the drill and drill everything out. So I'm going to set you up and we're off to the races. So I got most of the marks up and then found out we're not going to be even on the lights. I got this conduit. This is the power that goes out to the inverter for when it's in bypass mode. This feeds it from the main box. So we have a decision. Do we put the light on this side or do we put the light on this side? And it'll be immediately to the side of it. I'm opting to say here because she's going to have her stuff set up here. Downfall. We got to be able to jump this conduit. So we're probably going to end up going over the top with, go conduit, no conduit, over the top. That'll get us to the light. But you have these things. And then we're going to do the switch. And that light is going to be removed. So What we'll do is we're going to place, I don't even know where I put my switch now. I thought I brought it down, but we're going to put a switch and an outlet set up here. And then we're going to run the wire up and over for the lights. So what we'll probably do is we'll bring it up. We'll run it across the ceiling because these will all be gone. And then we'll bring it straight in line with the first light. This way we'll run it right so that's where the first light's going to be. And we'll run it right down the middle of these blocks. So that'll be the second thing we do. The first thing we'll do is we'll get the, no, you know what? We're going to do that first so that I can not have to rely on those lights and we'll have plenty of nice lights up on the top. So I have to unpackage all these lights and get them up. Okay, change to the change, of course. We are going to put the lights up, but we're going to hook them up to a cord at first because we're going to have to get the power in from over here in order to power everything, because when I eliminate those wires that are over there, we have no power right here. So with that said, I will still go ahead and mount the lights. We'll get them all mounted. And then what we'll do is I'll still hardwire and set up conduit. We'll run the conduit over straight to the wall. And when we do that, I'll leave the extra run of cable. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and put a plug end on it so that I can plug it in to my power box and we'll have lights while we remove everything else. So hey, so we're back from the supply run. I think I have everything I need to complete this project. It's just the way it is. Sometimes you have the stuff and you got the plan and everything's good, and other times, you know, you got to go on a supply run. So I had to go pick up some of the 90-degree corners for my conduit because I want to make it really pretty. So let's get to hooking these lights up. Once the lights are hooked up, I'll start doing boxes all around and we'll eliminate this run in the process. And yeah, let's do it. All right, so we're done for the day down here. I got to move over to the wood barn, take care of some business over there. But let me flip you around. So we have the lights on the ceiling. And then over here, you can see we're set up for one double outlet there with the conduit coming across. And we're set up for another double outlet over here. We're going to set one there and over there later in this same process. But I am in a toss-up as to whether to take this off and get all the loose stucco and do some patching really quick. I really think I want to do that because you can see over here we got quite a bit that came off. So I'm thinking that what we'll do is we'll pull the boxes, fix all the stucco, or the puts as they say, and then come through and paint it and then mount everything on the wall so that it looks good. I want to do this one time. I don't want to pull everything back off the wall to do that. So I think it's going to be better. It's a lot less to undo. I can pull these boxes off, get everything cleaned up. I can use the same holes that are already there. The inserts and everything that I put in the wall. So I think that's what we're going to do. Got to talk with Mama because she'll be the stucco master. Remember, I make it work. She makes it look good. So we'll figure that out. But now it's off to the wood barn. So we're over in the wood barn, and I got to get that cut up and get it put over there. So got to use the big saw and get my next wood pile going because it is 5 degrees Celsius outside right now. So that is low mid 30s. A little chilly. So then I get to wrap all this up and put the video in the can and get it out to you guys. So let's get to it so I can get this edited and put this one in the can. All right, folks, my battery died somewhere in the process. I'm not really sure when it was. I think it was a couple of minutes before I finished because I felt my watch vibrate, disconnecting from my phone. But let me flip you around. We didn't get all the wood gone. We got most of it. And we more than doubled what was there. Well, I think doubled, maybe a little more. So that is probably 2-ish weeks, maybe-ish, worth of firewood. So we're going to take it up as high as that pile over there. So let me kind of get over here and kind of angle it so I could show you. So we're going to put about almost double of what's there now, because I know how long that would last me, at least kind of. But I don't know if you can hear it, but the church bells are going off, which means it's 6:30. It is quitting time. It's time for me to go get some dinner and start editing this video. With that said, if you're thinking about friends, if you're thinking about family, give them a what's up, give them a WhatsApp. They'd love to hear from you. You know you'd love to hear from them too. So go ahead and do that. And Until the next one, auf Wiedersehen.